Washington has warned Beijing over helping Moscow blunt the blow of international sanctions. That's after Russia said it is banking on China's help to withstand the crippling economic restrictions placed by Western nations over the attack in Ukraine. Meanwhile, mainland China is facing its worst COVID-19 outbreak since the country clamped down on the pandemic in 2020. The Hang Seng in Hong Kong dropped to 4.5% as major cities rushed to limit business activity. Shenzhen, sometimes called China's Silicon Valley, has suspended production in most of its businesses, with employees mainly working from home starting today. Apple's suppliers Foxconn and Unimicron have already cut their production outlooks following the COVID curbs, and other companies are likely to follow. Let's get more on this now with Guido Cozzi. He's a professor of macroeconomics at St Gallen University. Many thanks for being with us this morning. First of all, how worrying is that? I mean, the new COVID wave in China, because some analysts are saying this new wave has the potential to actually affect half of China's economy. Is that a possibility?
Yes, there is. Unfortunately, even though China has vaccinated almost 90% of the population, it has used inactivated virus vaccines, unlike the mRNA vaccines used in the United States. So the efficacy rate of their vaccines is about 60%, meaning that effectively it's like 40% of the population unvaccinated. So we are talking about 500 million people potentially at risk. So if virus spreads, then there could be millions of acute cases and potentially deaths. Therefore, the government is very, very cautious and wants to implement a strong zero COVID policy, which may effectively block the economy to a level that is comparable to maybe a half of the 2020 lockdown.
Right, interesting, Professor. And now, speaking about, Russia looking at Beijing for help to overcome the sanctions, Russian finance minister has pointed out that part of the country's gold and foreign exchange reserves are in the Chinese currency, and there is obviously a high level of mutual trade. What sort of help can China provide Russia with at this moment in time?
Well, I don't think China wants to help Russia in this period, because that would be outrageous for the rest of the world. Probably business as usual will continue. And for China, it will be the chance of making good bargains and getting, for example, their crude oil, which is the largest import from Russia, or natural gas at very low prices, which will certainly help and reduce their inflationary pressures at home. Also, the role of the yuan renminbi as a reserve currency may increase, which is also a very convenient for China.
What's going to happen? You were mentioning the price of oil and other commodities. We're seeing this new COVID wave in Asia that could potentially spill over to Europe, towards the West, and then this new sanctions on Russia. What is your outlook on oil in the medium term, and other commodities as well? We've seen nickel skyrocketing.
Well, the oil price has followed the COVID pandemics. At the peak of the pandemics, the oil price was even negative. As soon as demand recovered and pent-up demand added to the usual demand, there was an excess demand for energy, so oil price went up. Now, if COVID restarts in China, certainly there will be pressures downwards the oil price. On the other side, there is also the interfering factor, obviously, of the unavailability of Russian oil for Western countries, so there could be a disconnect between oil price east or west.
Interesting. Potential downward pressure on oil prices then. Professor Guido Cozzi, many thanks for being with us this morning.
You're welcome.